So, I'm outside today. You probably can tell because we have very important discussions in this speech. Because I'm making a speech, and this speech is going to be titled and called "The Dangers of Hatred" or "The Dangers of Hate." Probably dangers of hate, but I need to address some key things before I start this video. One, this might include some politics. Two, this will include hatred. And speaking of hatred and the fact of the hatred that it is in this country, and it's on mainly the left. But we're going to get into some of the facts that genuinely matter. One of those things are the fact that the dangers of hate are so big. Like, the dangers of hate are so big. Like, we got World War II because of hate. We got World War I because of hate. We had Auschwitz because of hate. We had the Holocaust because of hate. We had so many other events because of hate. Some of the other ones that there's so many other events that I could bring up right now that are because of hate. You know, in the Bible, it literally describes the hate, that what hate can do. And hate, there is nothing more. I don't think there's anything more divisive than hate, because hatred is so divisive. Like, I'm gonna give you an example. I'm gonna give you a straight up example. I hate that person so much, I'd kill them. If you feel that way about somebody, you really should examine your heart. Really should examine your heart. And you should wonder if you're a good person or not. Because I will say this. If you hate someone so much that you feel the need to go out and kill them, then maybe you are part of the problem. We lost Charlie Kirk because of hatred. They tried to take out Trump twice because of hatred. They tried to take out Reagan because of hatred. They took out Martin Luther King Jr. because of hatred. They took out the good people in history because of hatred. It has nothing to do with what they were standing for wasn't great. It had nothing to do with the popularity of their message. What it had to do with is the hatred that was boiling in people's hearts. Because if you have, the dangers of hate are so great, it's not even it's not even negotiable. Like, what I saw hate do, it completely destroys. Hate destroys love, but love is always stronger than hate. One thing I've learned a little too late in life is that hatred can corrupt love if there was not enough of it. If there's true love can literally defeat hate in seconds. In straight up seconds. I saw it with my own two eyes. I saw it with my own two eyes. I battle the flesh all the time. The flesh tells me to hate somebody. But the love of God, the love of Jesus Christ, it comes in like that and just completely defeats that second. I see a lot. Hatred, I think, is of the flesh. Because when you feel the need to hate somebody, that should make you examine your heart. 100%. 100%. The dangers of hate are so big. You honestly can't even, I probably can't even mention like everything in this one video, because it's the fact that the dangers of hate can actually continue and continue and continue long term. Because I feel like hate is something that can build because of resentment. And it's like you can't stay mad at somebody forever over something. You know, you can't stay mad at somebody forever. Because that's what hate builds. Hate builds in unforgiveness. Hate builds when you no longer consider somebody or someone, when you start the race conversation, when you start like things like the critical race theory and stuff like that, that's when you start getting outswitch. That's when you start getting things like segregation, because that's the dangers of hate. When you start comparing somebody, or when you start defining someone as gender or race, then you start getting things like outswitch. Then you start getting things like we saw in the Holocaust. That's what you get when you have so much hate for somebody. Hatred can grow over time. Like honestly, Holocaust survivors know 100% how much hatred, Holocaust survivors know 100% how much hate that Hitler held in his heart over over the Jews. You can't blame the Jews for everything in your problem, man. That's what the Democrats are doing now. The Democrats are blaming the Jews for everything. The Jews are not the cause of our issues. Our issues come from within, not Israel. So when people start wanting to wake up, and when people start seeing the dangers of hate, then we start healing as a nation. When you notice the dangers of hate, you start growing. You start waking up. When you start waking up, you will see. You will see. People wake up. Israel is not the cause of our problems. In fact, Israel knows nothing about our problems. In fact, I don't even think Israel is even aware of our problems. I mean, come on, they're halfway across the world. I mean, you expect them, like, you expect Democrats to actually drop that lie that, if there's actually, if there's actually something I can say, it's this. The Democrats call us the Nazis. But you know what the Nazis did? Blame the Jews for every problem in their country. Look what the Democrats are doing now. Blaming Israel for every single problem in this country. Because they're too lazy to actually get up and do something about it. You know, it takes more effort to sit back and continue complaining about your problems and maybe just get up and solve them. You don't have to personally agree with everything that Trump does, but at least Donald Trump doesn't get up and start pointing fingers at everybody but himself, and he actually gets up and solves the problems. It's funny. It's funny how the only person that is addressing BlackRock is Donald Trump. All the other Democrats in Washington don't want to address BlackRock, although it's the leading reason why housing prices are going up. Again, the dangers of hate. When you start comparing people to physical attributes like skin color, race, gender, then you start getting the hatred. When you start listening to people like Hitler, because there will be more people in the future like Hitler that will rise up if we keep having hate spread around like that. We have people like Saddam Hussein and a couple others that rose up and that were just like Hitler, but they didn't have as much authority as Hitler did. People were brainwashed and people were lied to by their own government, so they supported Hitler. Meanwhile, they had no choice. Hitler used his own hate. Hitler used hate to justify hate, pretty much. It's kind of what Hitler did. Which is why I'm standing here with the microphone today, to prevent things like the Holocaust from happening again. It will happen again if we don't learn from history. And as of right now, I'm starting to think the Democrats are Nazis. How are you going to blame an entire race for your problems? Our problems come from within, not from Israel. You know, it gets me tired. I get tired of it, okay? I get tired of it. You know, people from Israel and Jews are very nice people. So it's kind of funny. Kind of funny how they're blaming Israel for our problems. But they don't want to blame the drugs coming from Mexico. They don't want to talk about the drugs that come from illegals from Mexico and El Salvador and some of the others. The U.S. military is already about to strike a drug plant somewhere in South America. I forget what country it was. You can go ahead and Google right now what country it was, because I saw it today that the U.S. Navy was going to strike a drug plant. I think it was. Hold on, let me think. Let me turn this off and think about it. It was Venezuela. Yeah, it was Venezuela. So, again, the dangers of hate. These people hate the United States. People that come here illegally, you think that these people actually care? Like, you think these people actually are coming here legally because they want a safe country or they're asylum seekers? No. These people come here illegally because they know they cannot pass through the system with all those drugs, so they have to come here illegally to get the drugs in this country. Oh, but wait, it's hatred, right? And no, it's not hatred to want to enforce your borders. The entire world enforces their borders. Try going to France illegally, you're going to get deported. Kind of common sense, right? Almost like Obama, Biden, and Bill Clinton also deported people, right? Wait. Yeah. They don't like the truth, right? Well, I never tell a lie. Because again, the dangers of hate. We have to focus on real problems, not blaming Israel for our problems. Israel's on the other side of the world. They cannot even influence us. It's dumb, dude. People are waking up too, by the way. People are waking up. People are realizing that Israel's not the problem. People are realizing the fact that our problems come from within. Our problems come from Washington. And the problems we create, even if it's not on purpose. When you wake up, you'll realize that Israel is not the problem. You'll realize our problems come from right here in America. That's where our problems come from. Blaming an entire nation that is much weaker than us on the other side of the world that has no intention or even has the capability to cause problems here in America. That's such a baseless accusation to blame Israel when you have no evidence to back it up. It's just hatred for the Jews. That's all it is. Again, the dangers of hate. The dangers of hate. I could reiterate that again. The dangers of hate. When you start looking at people you disagree with, when you start hating people you disagree with, and you start calling them hatred, and you start hating them, and you start calling them names, that's when the hatred starts. That's how 11 million people were killed, man, in the Holocaust. How the Holocaust happened. It all started small. Before the Holocaust actually happened, it started because of Hitler. Hitler was bitter because he did not like that his opponents, or he thought his opponents, were causing the problem. So Hitler ran for office, because this was before he actually would become the leader of Germany. So before Hitler was actually leader of Germany, he actually ran for office. Guess what he used? He used indoctrination. He used propaganda and many other sources to brainwash the public to vote for him. When he got elected, guess what he started doing? He started trying to justify his arrests, trying to arrest his opponents. He started arresting his opponents. That's what he did when he was in office. He didn't run. He didn't run on a platform of extermination. What Hitler did was he rose when he rose to power. It kind of built up. He kind of gained the people's trust. Hitler actually, I think what Hitler also did was Hitler created problems in his own country and solved them to actually try to convince the German public that he's this big old guy and he's capable of anything. See, the dangers of hate. And I'm going to keep going on and tell you this story. So he kind of went on, and a little bit later, he started justifying. He started calling his opponents. He was calling his opponents hateful and divisive, while also telling his supporters that we should hate the other side. Mind you, you can go ahead and already guess what party in America is doing it, or this right now, hating the other side, calling the other side divisive. Yep. If you said the Democrat Party, you're absolutely right. Now I'm going to continue. going to continue. So, meanwhile, a little while later, he goes down. He's talking. We're talking. Blah blah blah. He goes. He's talking. He's making speeches. He's doing everything else. Then, pretty soon, Hitler, by at least I think the mid 1930s. I think by the mid 1930s, if I haven't mistaken, Hitler already became the dictator of Germany. And once Hitler got elected, he went. Not when he was elected, but when he actually became the dictator, when he was all powerful leader. Well, he had nobody opposing him. Hitler literally arrested all of his political enemies. When Hitler got complete control, guess what he started doing? He had a hatred for the Jews for no reason. All they were was baseless accusations that he couldn't back up, and then started hating the Jews. Meanwhile, people that spoke out against Hitler were arrested because you can't speak. Hitler would get mad, like he should have you killed. And I think in certain circumstances, like if you spoke out against what Hitler, if you were living in Nazi Germany at the time, and you spoke out against Hitler, you'd be shot. Like if you actually, even if they thought you were trying to hurt Hitler, you would be shot. Even if it was a thought. So when we start looking back at history, and especially Hitler, especially Mussolini, and especially the Japanese dictator, I don't know his name, but all of the dictators. And Mussolini was actually turned to his own people, and he was beaten. And Mussolini if I haven't mistaken, he ended up hung. And Hitler ended up killing himself because he was afraid. Hitler was afraid that he was going to be turned to his own people like Mussolini was, because Hitler knew what happened to Mussolini, and he didn't want that happening to him. So he went down in his bunker and shot and killed himself. I'm going to say it again. The dangers of hate are big. When the dangers of hate, we saw the dangers of hate with the Holocaust. We saw the dangers of hate with so many other people, dude. So many of them, man. The dangers of hate. Man, it's been good talking with you guys for the past 23-ish minutes. Probably going to go on to about 25 minutes. But before I go, I want to say the fact that don't let hatred build up. If you see hatred, speak out against it. Because even if it's not you, it could end up being you. You know, I think there's a quote. There was a quote, or there was something, I don't know. So basically, there was something, as someone said, was they went after a certain group of people, but I wasn't those certain people. They went after this certain people, but I didn't identify as those people. But when they went for me, there was no one left to speak out for me. Just because wrong isn't being done to you doesn't mean you can't speak out against it. Friends, family, if you see people that are alone, if you see people that don't really have friends, if you see people that are alone all the time, and you should welcome these people. Welcome these people and offer them to sit at your table. Because the dangers of hate are big. The dangers the dangers of not speaking out against wrongs are long too. And that's a whole nother rabbit hole that we can go down if you like. But I don't want this to be too long. When you don't speak out against things, it keeps things going. When you don't speak out against things, it builds up. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Peace.